Hi, it's been a while. It's been over a year since my last discussion video, so why now, of all times? Do I have the hot take of the century? Is Papy the best striker in the game and I must spread her gospel? No. I am bored and she just happens to be the banner that's running right now. I know you guys missed these discussion videos, but when making this one, I remembered why I stopped. Whatever, let's just get on with it. Alright then, Papy. Steel type striker Pokéfair with Sprint EX roll. Papy's personal luck skill is Defense Crush 9 against paralyzed foes. That's decent, but she generally prefers Critical Strike too. So, Papy is pretty good. The deal is that Papy angles for anti-gimmicks to distinguish herself from her Steel-type predecessors. She's got paralysis, debuffs, gauge. She's fairly autonomous. So, as for the big money question you probably want me to answer, does Papy dethrone Rose as the best Steel-type striker? Is she more useful than Rose? Should you even bother when Solgaleo is a free-to-play alternative? To me, Papy feels like a Rose side grade, but I am getting ahead of myself. Papy is the embodiment of the bonk. We've got Tinkaton's signature Gigaton Hammer, but it was implemented as a body move for extra oomph. And damn dude, you know how it's hard to grasp large numbers because our brains cannot quantify them. Gigaton Hammer is like the combination of a couple Giga Impacts. An apt analogy for Gigaton Hammer is that Papy gets to click a max move every other turn, but Gigaton Hammer is stronger than that because it's subject to move increments, such as move up next stacks. A single move up next buffs damage by 40%, and 40% out of a minimum 450 base power is a lot of extra power. Ironically, Papy receives more value from the Champion Rosa plus Champion 8 combo than from raw Steel Zone, because Move Up Next fits into Gigaton Hammer exponentially. Gigaton Hammer has unlimited uses, so Papy has the best DPS potential in the game, period. Of course, nothing good in life is free, my friends. Gigaton Hammer locks when used. Its unlocking conditional is taking any action. And that's a gigantic problem. See what I did there? Hello, it's post-production Zinfogel. For clarification, Gigaton Hammer unlocks with the user's moves, so Papy's train move and her alternate moves unlock it. Her sync move doesn't. I have to liken Papy to Signasud N? Obviously, Papy is astronomically stronger because Gigaton Hammer is ridiculous coming off a 468 attack, and Papy doesn't have to deal with 2-turn shenanigans. There is hardly an attempt at balancing this kid, but the fact of the matter is that Gigaton Hammer is overall damage is forcibly diluted by its off turns. The question then becomes, how well does Papy set up a Gigaton Hammer? Papy handles her off turns with Thunderwave and Play Rough. Thunderwave has a couple perks, first being that Paralysis shoots down defensive passives like Healthy Advantage and Robust Physique. Second, Thunderwave debuffs defense by a couple stages, which is derived from one of Papy's passives. It's a cohesive rotation. Thunderwave drops defense to enhance subsequent Gigaton Hammers. And at 4-5, Thunderwave can debuff attack by a couple stages as well. That's some roll compression, alright? Off the top of my head, Papy counters Yuxi, Tornadus, Coalion, Latias, Ray Steel. Note Papy's Thunderwave passives assert it doesn't have to succeed. Papy continues debuffing even if the target is already paralyzed or if she misses Thunderwave. With Wing Gigaton Hammer 2-fair and Charging Infliction 2, Papy is actually a gauge battery. Thunderwave is a solid setup asset for Gigaton Hammer. As for Play Rough, it's the coffin baby, comparatively speaking. Normally, Courage moves add versatility, but Papy wants to put all her eggs in the Gigaton Hammer basket. It's just higher value. let's say you bring Champion Rosa for constant move next increments. Play Rough spends physical move next stacks. Play Rough also goes unboosted under Steel Zone. Papy's Fairy mode is there, it's serviceable. A cohesive Fairy team for Papy would be Palentine Serena plus Penny. Palentine Serena spreads Paralysis for Play Rough Paralysis Synergy 5 and she handles the Fairy Nook. Meanwhile, Penny brings Fairy Rebuffs and she completes Palentine Serena's setup. Although you should still click Gigaton Hammer because it outweighs on-type Play Rough despite the Fairy increments. Nevertheless, Play Rough constitutes damage. Papy is already doing better than Sinnoh because he's locked into doing nothing with Free Shocks. Rather, Papy is better compared to a special custom Barry as a 2-turn damage dealer. No one disparages Barry despite having to cycle Pink Missile to unlock B Megahorn. B Megahorn has extend range, so it's a better overall move, but again, it's hard to conceptualize Gigaton Hammer is sheer ferocity despite the 2-turn setback. Another way to mitigate Gigaton Hammer is off turns is by quote-unquote skipping them with staggers. A lot of steel types can flinch, so it's a valid way of operating Papy in dual strike cores. A few caveats I should emphasize include Papy's sure crits. Her Nook is guaranteed to crit, gotta love consistency. Hi again, something I forgot to mention is that Papy's permacrits improve her multi-stage rally presence. She crits without trainer moves, so you can upkeep her offense with passive attack races from Max Knuckle, Argenta, or Sinnoh Steven. Papy has innate Impervious to block random spread debuffs, and her trainer move is great. It sets up a turn 2 Gigaton Hammer Denial in Champion Stadium. Okay, you nerds, Papy's first clears are flooding in. She is performing better than expected, but some of my concerns have also been validated, so let's address those. Papy massacring on-type Champion Stadium at 1-5 was a foregone conclusion, so I am putting more weight on advanced content because Solgaleo is at Papy's heels. First issue is Gigaton Hammer at a mechanical level. Papy's kid lacks Gigaton Hammer multipliers for a reason. She has to correct her playstyle in long matches, so her overall damage is not invalidated by hyper-meta strikers. Nowadays, top dog strikers abuse field effects in tandem with rebuffs, so if Papy is left to her own devices, Champion Red, for instance, easily catches up with Gigaton Hammer's off turns. Optimally, Papy should play for burst damage, which can be unintuitive. Papy wants a constant physical move next stacks from Argenta, Bolo, or Champion Rosa to add onto Gigaton Hammer is insane scaling. Papy has this physical move next sinking passive at 5-5, and it feels virtually mandatory to handle Gauntlet or Ultimate battles. You know what this reminds me of? Yak. It's not a one-to-one comparison, but BS Power obfuscates his overall damage. You know how some people go, well, Yak has the big nuke, and BS Power deletes ultimate battles. He does everything. He's the best striker in the game. No, you asshole! You are ignoring the 9 turns Yak clicks Sheet Beam or Loomberry. It's the whole reason Sinnoh Steven catches up to Yak. Steven has the Strike Nuke and continuous DPS, so Yak wants special move next increments to push BS Power past its limits. Papy's playstyle is also burst-based, so she requires advanced supports to excel. Papy's second issue is her nuke. She's got a single sync multiplier with 4 sinking tiles, although her monstrous attack stat patches up her range. Papy's full nuke is comparable to a special custom Adamant. For a steel type comparison, max investment Papy outscales Rose if Rose lacks his Tech EX roll. This is a good nuke, but not modern good. It's missing some oomph. Papy's Nook works great in Champion Stadium because she gets to draw power from Palentine's Marnie is enfeebled debuffs, similar to how Gloria uses those same debuffs to improve her range. You could run a Head Start to Palentine's Marnie with any -4 sync countdown ramper to perform fast clears. Papy's Nook would get the turn 2 Simon Denial, and her physical move next to syncing passive would need a +3 Gigaton Hammer to delete the Centermon. That's undeniably efficient. Remember, Papy sure crits all her attacks, unlike Rose who can miss Sync Move or Dynamax crits. Papy is the kind of striker JP players adore. They are likening her to Emma because she is efficient and consistent. But Papy's Nook won't feel as powerful in Gauntlet or Ultimate battles, at least relative to Tech plus Strike EX roll Nooks. This is why Papy's Sprint EX roll is so unfortunate, man. The intention must be rushing sync moves to proc Papy's physical move next syncing passive, but my psyop is that Sprint EX was used to nerf Papy. Sprint EX doesn't do much for her. You know I love sync acceleration, but Papy doesn't play for ramping outside of Adrenaline 1. Actually, Papy should avoid Head Start 1 because she really wants Critical Strike 2 to maximize her range. It's a shame. Tech EX would have made Papy more powerful than Rose, no questions asked. But as things stand, Rose leverages Papy's flaws to remain relevant. Papy's third issue is lack of sustain. Her damage mitigation stems from Thunderwave attack drops and endurance. That's it. There is no recovery on this kit, and Papy's stat line is just decent. This hurts Papy's Gauntlet solo potential. Today Papy is solo Cobalion because she has this neat trick with Thunderwave charging infliction too. Thunderwave's animation is cancelled when a foe is paralyzed, so Papy gets to spam Thunderwave incredibly fast to accumulate sync buffs, sort of like a Colress. 5-5 Papy can then accumulate physical move next stacks to delete bars with the Gigaton Hammer. That's a cool trick, but Papy can barrel survive Cobalion with parahacks and misses. I want to believe Papy can solo Rage Steel, but its spacing is much better than Cobalion. If Papy had, I don't know, Training Move Hidden Heal, we would be looking at a solid Gauntlet generalist. But I think Papy solos are a max investment nightmare. Hi again, I have an update. Papy soloed Tornadus. She's also soloed Latios and Tapu Bulu, but those are givens. But again, it's a max investment thing, so take that as you will. On the other hand, Papy duos are free. Just stick a whatever Digimon alongside the 3-5 Papy, and that buys her the time she needs. My last concern are Ultimate battles. Papy is a good UV pair on paper, however her anti-gimmicks are not suited for current Ultimate battles. Therefore, Papy's big sell is her raw strength, yet her enablers stunt her potential. What do I mean by that? Steel cores are undoubtedly behind hyper meta cores like Ice, Psychic or Fairy. There is an opportunity cost to investing in Papy when you could invest in Thunderbolt Red, for example. I think the face of the Steel type metagaming right now is Papy plus Rose plus Special Costume Celine. And while that core is cohesive, it's missing fundamentals such as recovery and rebuffs. You will notice the strongest strikers often share a trend. They compress enhancements. For example, Champion Red adds Ice rebuffs alongside Iridice Ice Zone. When combined with their master passives, that pressure outscales Papy no matter how much she debuffs defense. Papy and Rose lack enhancements, and Steel types are still missing an anchor who can fix that. I know, it sounds crazy, but that's modern standards for you. Argenta and Special Costume Celine are good anchors, but not off-type Ultimate battle good. Papy's potential is capped by the mere fact that she is a Steel type pair. Now, Papy should be able to handle Darak and Lucy within a Steel-centric core, but do they really count? Argenta and Thornton are dubious, Palmer, I'm not so sure. Like, Paralysis doesn't shoot down Thornton's defensive passives. You run Papy purely for defense drops and late game physical coverage. So, who would be your early game special damage? Variety Thornton? This is what I mean. Papy is still type contemporaries hold her back. She is better off assisting stronger cores. Anyway, Papy could paralyze Leon. I don't think timing Gigaton Hammer and Thunderwave to Leonie's cleanses is too difficult. You could use a Play Rough once to calibrate her cycles. The actual problem is that Tinkaton has an unfortunate weakness to fire, so Leon and Annabelle literally melt Papy. The one ultimate battle where Papy stands a chance for a good showing is Palmer, but Rose plus Special Costume Celine might not cut it. This is why I cannot conclusively answer if Papy will have better results than Rose and become a better pull. They share wows, but Rose is pretty good. He has Techie X, continuous extend range, Dynamax, and even in the utility department he's got Flinch, Imperious, Defense Crunch 9, constant freeing next after G-Max Steel Surge. Rose has a solid Gauntlet solo record despite being a striker, which is largely attributed to 30% flinch gaming, yes, but Rose has something to delay damage. Papy doesn't. Another sell to Rose is his alternate coverage. He is not a one-trick pony. Rose's ground builds just got buffed with Rika, and he's still a valid rock component despite buffs to Classic Blue and Emmet. Papy's player of builds are Mimi by comparison. With all that said, it's healthier to see Papy and Rose as complements to each other, rather than competitors. Papy's Rose is antithesis in a way. Rose deletes side mons, while Papy deletes center mons. The second they get an all-in-one Steel Anchor, they should have a much better shot at handling ultimate battles. Papy is certainly elevating the Steel-type archetype. My overall prediction is that the English community is going to overrate Papy due to big funny numbers, while the JP community is going to overrate Papy at Rose's expense, but I would rather be wrong. Okay, time for the grid. Papy is a very well-rounded striker, but she is simplistic, very unga bunga. Her grid expands on her focuses, but not customizability per se. 1-5 Papy is a brutal DPS asset, but I would only recommend pulling for Papy if you plan to push her up to 4-5 for the Gauntlet consistency tools I was talking about. Why? Because there is Solgaleo for a raw Steel-type damage alternative, and it works pretty well despite the free-to-play level. One of Papy's most crucial tiles is Charging Infliction 2. Papy has a lot of gauge tools between Fast Track 9, Tremor Catalytic Kick, Sync Freebie, and Gigaton Hammer Twofer, but Charging Infliction 2 supersedes them. Charging Infliction recovers the gauges Thunderwave spends, and that's a lot of free gauge. It's the whole reason Papy can perform her Thunderwave spam trick in solos. In standard rotations, Papy should always drop enemies down to -6 defense before rotating Play Rough. With Charging Infliction 2 and Twofer, Papy frees up all her gauge for a dual strike partner. As for utilities, we have Sun Shelter, Natural Remedy, Quick Cure, Unflappable, and Endurance. Remember, Papy has innate Impervious, so random status ailments are the only thing that maim her durability. Papy also has several accuracy tiles in Pinpoint Entry 1, Thunderwave Accuracy plus 10, and Play Rough Accuracy plus 10. I glossed over this, but Thunderwave and Play Rough are 90% accurate. Pinpoint Entry 1 fixes both hit rates simultaneously. I don't think misses are a big deal for Papy, because Gigaton Hammer is 100% accurate, and that's the only move you care about landing. Thunderwave procs debuffs even when it misses, so the only situation where you need focus accuracy support is when foes use X-Evasion All. Haymaker is a free multiplier because Papy's training move maximizes attack in one turn. Then there is the Play Rough multipliers. Play Rough Paralysis Synergy 5 is a consideration for long off-type matches. Papy will eventually have to attack with Play Rough, so you could squeeze extra power out of it. Papy's 4-5 tiles are Defense Crush 9 and Thunder Wave attack drops. Defense Crush 9 is superfluous to me due to the nature of Papy's Thunder Wave rotations, but if you want Papy to debuff defense faster, she could grid Defense Crush 9 alongside her personal lucky skill to drop defense with Gigaton Hammer. Thunder Wave attack drops are huge for Papy, and one of her main perks as a unit, honestly. Papy drops attack in lieu of your support in case they are unable to do so. Attack drops massively improve Papy's durability against physical legendary arenas like Cobalion, Tapu Bulu, or Terrakion. Offensive debuffs are mandatory in endgame content like ultimate battles and high score events, so switch compression is a massive boon for any striker. The 5-5 unlocks Adrenaline 1 and the physical move next sinking passive. Adrenaline 1 combos into Papy's Sprinty X roll. It's circumstantially useful, but the physical move next stacks is where the money is at. With this, Papy gains consistent increments by her own accord. This passive is the whole reason Gigaton Hammer can compete with hyper meta damage dealers despite the precarious position of the Steel type archetype. As for grid recommendations, I am sticking with the 3-5 and no expanded energy, but if you were to prioritize something, it would be the physical move next sinking passive. 3-5 Papy can afford a Haymaker plus all her sinking tiles to optimize her nuke range, and then some for a utility passive. You can add Endurance or Fast Track 9. Or you could also drop the passive and grab all of Tinkaton's attack tiles to fully boost its nuke. Personally, I would rather drop a few sinking tiles in favor of Pinpoint Entry 1, Charging Infliction, and Toofer. That's much more significant for Papy's long-term gauge. And then there is the Play Rough mode to consider, but Papy should still click Gigaton Hammer every so often, because it's that strong, it's the whole reason for this kit. And that's it. I don't think Papy fixes the Steel type archetype per se. There are still plenty of legitimate reasons you would rather use Rose over Papy. But well, don't expect me to make a discussion video ever again. Take care, y'all.